Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time. It honestly feels like it has everything, from a beautiful sprite-based art style to a fun-as-hell battle system, to, partially the topic of this video, my favorite cast of characters in any game. Chrono Trigger's party may not be as developed or deep as other JRPGs, but they're easily the most charming I've ever seen. And before you Persona fans come yelling at me, I've never played a Persona game, so subject to change, maybe. But regardless of how much I love Chrono Trigger, this really isn't a gaming channel anymore, since I pretty soon realized that my understanding of game design isn't the best, certainly not good enough to do deep analysis on it. But luckily for me, I still have a chance to talk about my favorite game, because Chrono Trigger still has a pretty good, incredibly character-driven story that I want to take some time to at least talk about part of today. As Chrono Trigger's story nears its end after you revive Chrono, it seems like the game's main story is basically at its end. You're given your 3 options to go into the final battle with Lavos, and no major new story elements present themselves. However, if you talk to Gaspar in the End of Time, he informs you of 4 more side quests that you can do. 5 if you decide to allow Magus to join your team instead of killing him, and technically 6 if you count Ayla's going to get armored quest as a proper quest. And I kinda let the cat out of the bag there. Each of these quests is intrinsically tied to one of the characters. The only exceptions being Chrono because he's our self-insert silent protagonist, and Ayla because she's comedic relief with little personality beyond haha caveman no smart so funny. But Marl, Luca, Frog, Robo, and Magus, if you decide to let him join, all have a quest that's quite well rooted in their character and serves as a final rounding off to their arc. However, these quests, and for that matter these characters, have a lot more in common than you may think. Chrono Trigger is a time travel story, and it uses that to its advantage in quite an interesting way when it comes to its character writing. That being that all of its prevalent characters have an issue in their past that their character arc is primarily centered around overcoming. From Magus and Robo being wronged by circumstances outside of their control, to Frog and Luca's regret over not being able to save loved ones, and Marl's rejection of her title as princess leading to conflict between her and her father. This final arc gives these characters a chance to somewhat reconcile with the issues from their past. Marl is able to mend her relationship with her father and learn the truth about the death of her mother. Robo is disappointed about the truth of where he came from, but is able to experience the nature he never got to. Frog is able to reconcile with Cyrus's spirit and fully carry on his legacy. Magus completes his pseudo-redemption by taking out the remnants of his forces. And easily my favorite is Lucas, who's given a chance to save her mother from the incident which resulted in her being paralyzed from the waist down when she couldn't as a child. However, this one actually puts it in the hands of the player. Of course, you can succeed and Luca's arc is completed that way, but even if you fail, Robo cheers her up, convinces her that she's not a failure and that she's grown beyond that incident. This is certainly a touching and effective way to wrap up these characters' stories, but I can't help but feel that under most other circumstances I would have felt that this was a bit of a cop-out. You're using time travel to allow these characters to get over incidents from their past. But it's when I saw this iconic moment that I ended up changing my mind. When I saw our unlikely party of a cave woman, a robot from the future, a mechanic, a medieval knight cursed to be a frog, a psychic kid turned self-proclaimed demon lord, a begrudging princess, and our generic anime pretty boy protagonist. When I saw the party sitting around a campfire discussing their journey, the meaning of it all, and what's to come in its final stretch, I realized that Chrono Trigger presented one of my favorite themes in all of fiction, albeit in a slightly different way than what's usually done. The idea of the journey being more important than the destination. A theme present in anything from Hunter x Hunter to JoJo's Part 3, but like I said, it's handled a bit differently in Chrono Trigger. Sure, using time travel to fix our characters' issues to an extent may be considered a bit of a cop-out, but that's not really the important part of it, because it's the journey you've gone on throughout the game that gave these characters this second chance, that gave them this time travel that allowed them to reconcile with their past issues. It gave me a special satisfaction that I shown would never really be able to, because I've been playing as these characters. I have an attachment to them beyond just them as a character. Throughout the game, corny as it may sound, they almost feel like a part of you, so when you finally get this last moment of the entire party around this peaceful campfire, it meant a lot to me. To no one's surprise other than my own, I actually didn't have as much to say on this topic as I thought I would. But I really wanted a chance to talk about my favorite game, and this arc has been interesting me for a little while now. Not much more to it than that. Thanks for watching, and I really need some kind of catchy phrase that I can put in the outro, don't I?